Okay, I think we're ready here. Hi, Lisa. Glad you can be here tonight. I think everything's working. I think sound and all that should be good. Okay, where did I leave that? There it is. Okay. All right, so tonight I'm just going to kind of be working on adding in some of the rest of the fine tuning on this project. So I'm going to darken up a little bit more some of our eyelashes, and then we're going to add in more of our eyebrows as well. Because some of these eyelashes I think need to be darkened up and possibly made a little bit more irregular. And I have a new new light source here. I hope this is going to work out okay. Just kind of go back over this a little bit. Darken up some of these eyelashes. I'm not going to darken all of them because I want a little bit of depth kind of peeking through here. I'm going to turn it sideways a little bit. It's easy to get into kind of a consistent pattern here. Excuse me. So I'm going to try to really modify that. Hi, Vivian. We're just touching up a little bit of these, a few of these eyelashes here. Making them a little bit darker. And some of them I think are a little bit too short, so we'll adjust those as well. So I have my my studio a little bit rearranged. And I see that some of my lighting is not the best. I can move over here a little bit and we'll just kind of angle over a tad and maybe get rid of some of those shadows. Okay. If it'll hold still. I think that's a little bit better. But we're going to darken up the base of the eyelashes a little bit more and create a few irregular ones, some longer ones. Thanks, Lisa. Yeah, I've got company coming in this weekend, and with my studio kind of taking over the entire living room, it was a little bit of a challenge. So I opened it up a little bit. So making it a little fuller at the base of the lashes here. And remember, anytime that you're working with hair or lashes or anything like this, the more layers that you can put in there, the better. I think that really helps. Okay. Thanks, Lisa. Yeah, this is definitely a great realism project. And now we're going to just add in some more layers of eyebrow. When you wood burn something like this and it's so big, it's easy to get a lot of detail in, which is pretty cool. I'm just thinking about my my setup here and how I can make it better. I really like having my light in the corner, but it does give a little bit of a shadow. So think of eyelashes and eyebrows, like I said, it's just another fur element. Fur, hair, whiskers, it's all the same. Lots of layers. Try to continue going in a generally consistent pattern, but not overly, like, repetitively consistent. Hi, Larry. We've also talked about texture. Like if you have too much texture like this, it's going to look a little bit like a bristle brush. So as we continue to add more layers, it'll look a bit softer and it won't have that really bristle brush kind of look to it. Okay. I wish I could do something a little bit different here with my camera. Try to help you out here a little more. I don't know that you're going to come out of there. It should. Hang on 1 minute. Let me scoot over just a little bit more. So it's not quite so skewed for you. It's a little bit better. Okay. And I think I have my big ring light on too close of a circuit to my wood burners, because since I moved my studio, I do see that I don't have quite the heat in my burners that I used to. So I'm going to definitely have to move that ring light. Darn it. But we'll make do. I'll get everything fixed for tomorrow night. You're very welcome, Larry. I hope that helps. Okay, so Larry, you got some wood today from the Amazon page. That's awesome. Thank you very much for that. I have been talking with Walnut Hollow. They had one of my favorite pieces of wood was not on their store anymore, and I was a little bit sad. So I just reached out to them to see if they still had it, and they do. So it's on their store now. They're so wonderful to work with. I just really appreciate them. Hi, Cynthia. Sorry, Cynthia, that you had trouble bringing up YouTube. Sometimes technology, I tell you guys, it is a blessing and a curse sometimes. So we're kind of getting the general feel of these eyelashes, the eyebrow hairs put in. And you can see how I'm still leaving in a few pieces of unburned wood, so you can see through them. You don't want to, yeah, like we talked about the other night, just block everything in. with a dark line. It needs to have a little bit of unburned wood in there so that it's a little bit more realistic. The light can shine through. Hi, Jezere. Hi, I keep seeing Vivian's name and trying to say hi to Jezere. Hi, Jezere. Isn't that fun when you look at a word and you're trying to think of something else? Well, you guys were lucky to miss the sheep. The sheep have come and thankfully they have gone. They ate everything. All of our wildflowers, our baby trees, everything. So I'm very glad that the sheep are gone. They do their job as far as fire mitigation, but boy, do they make a mess. Hi again, Vivian. Okay, so once we get a little bit of our structure for our eyebrow in there, it helps to add a little bit of soft shading, kind of soften it a little bit. So just some back and forth motions and take it from bristle brush to like soft and fluffy kind of a feeling. And then this is where I'm going to blend some of these harsh, like individual hairs. I'm going to blend them in a little bit. And it depends on your style, like of beauty and all that. You know, there's so many different beauty trends out there, whether they have really pronounced eyebrows or little skinny ones or whatever. So just kind of follow your reference photo on your eyebrow features here. But I'm really just kind of trying to go with the, follow the reference photo here. Jezere, you use sheep there to control, I don't even know how to say that, kudzu? I don't know. But yeah, sheep are very good at eating everything. I mean, they ate our sting nettles, they ate thistle. Some plants that are poisonous to cattle, they ate all of those. It's really remarkable what they can nibble on. Lisa says, some even look like the example on the back. Absolutely, yeah. I think it was like the 90s or 2000s. Everybody had those little tiny wispy eyebrows. It was crazy. So it definitely changes with style and time. So you can be creative. This person has a little bit more, I would say, more natural eyebrows where they're not like perfect lines and all that. And then you can go back over and just darken up some areas and continue working on the layering and the depth. Kudzu, okay. Ah, that's good. Yeah, goats are very good at nibbling as well. I think they could eat a can is the joke, a tin can. So the top part here looks more like a palm frond or a brush, like a broom than I want. So I'm going to kind of work on that as well. right, let's see where we're at here. That's looking okay. I mean, we only have a little bit of a snapshot of this eye, so these, sometimes the close-up ones look a little bit odd just because you're looking through a keyhole at something. Hi, Zona. Okay. So we're gonna, yeah, definitely move the ring light for tomorrow. And just really increase the darkness here along the lower lashes. I'm going to add a little shading along this ridge where the eyelashes tie into the eyelid. Okay. I'm kind of darkening the outer edge of the eyeball just a tad. It was, I think, a little bit misshapen from our last live stream, so I'm trying to round it out a little bit. Okay. Let's take a look real quick. Oh. Dear Cesare, I'm so sorry that your sister passed away. Okay, so let's see. Let's go this way for a little bit. I would like to soften up this, soften and darken this edge right here. I don't know, this might give less shadows. It looks kind of wonky, but we'll go with it. Okay. I understand, Desiree. Time definitely softens the pain. So Lisa says, I'm burning a mushroom on Bristol paper. I tell you, I have to turn my burn master to level 4 to 5 heat. The high on wood is very dark, but I rarely get brown on the paper. That's amazing, and that's something that I've seen as well with burning on paper. I found it very frustrating because wood burning takes so long anyway, and then you would think paper, it would just burn right through it, but it's not the case. It's so much more difficult to burn on paper than it is on wood. So right now I have kind of a harsh crease in here, but I will blend it out in a little bit. I'm just really trying to push those values as dark as I can. And then we'll blend it. Okay, so let's add a touch of blending to the upper part. And depending on how much like makeup your subject has, you can make this upper part quite dark. It could be if has a really strong light source above her, that would make this upper part darker as well. So I'm just going to keep pulling the shadows up towards the eyebrow. Okay. I'm going to switch over to just the shading point really quick. Lisa says, your cool wood, you have to have it on 6 or 7 to get a good brown. Wow. Yeah. It just is so much more difficult to get the watercolor paper dark. So for right now, there's not a whole lot of skin texture underneath the eyebrow. So I'm going to come back over and just smooth it out a little. And remember that if you see your strokes when shading, just kind of slightly alter your shading path, and that helps to smooth everything out a little bit. I've got a little bit of grain pattern from the wood coming through here, but I think it's okay. not a whole lot you can do about the wood grain. And that wood grain is definitely a great way to avoid, like, when people try to copy your work and take it for themselves, and you have the actual piece, or you have work in progress photos and you can see the wood grain, there's no way that they can forge the wood grain as well. So that wood grain is kind of cool to allow you to maintain like valid ownership over some of your projects. Because I've done that before. I've had people that have posted copies of my art in different groups over the, from here and there over social media, and they just crop my name out, my signature out at the bottom, and then they try to post it as their own. So taking progress photos while you work on something is a great way to make sure that you can prove that you legally own it, or even take a picture of you holding it. That's good. A lot of times the fraudsters, you can ask them, well, if this is yours, prove it. Show me a work in progress photo. And they're like, oh, well, I didn't take any during the artwork process. And then you can be like, oh, really? Well, I did. Here's my work in progress photos. So it definitely shuts them down. So I have some wood grain here. I guess we could make that into like a piercing or something. I don't have like a lot of piercings, and some people do. So I'd have to look and see what it looks like, but you could put like a little stud or something, a ring, a stud. I don't know what they put in there, but that'd be kind of fun. Lisa, I agree that the wood grain is part of the picture, and it's pretty neat. Yeah. Progress photos are great. So as we start wood burning the skin here, I think a lot of people are kind of timid when wood burning skin, and it's almost like, when you wood burn something light, like the toilet paper burning, sometimes you're afraid to go too dark, and I have that problem too, as far as trying to be really careful and cautious and not go too dark or make a mistake with skin, because when you're doing a portrait, it is so difficult to capture the likeness, and if you get one thing wrong, it looks like somebody else. So I'm usually pretty timid when it comes to portraits. The bread is ready. Let me send my son a message and he can get the bread out. Okay. I was cooking like a wild person right up until the live stream, so I have a little bit of bread in the oven that looks like it's ready. It's a mole or a freckle. That could work too. Yep. You don't have to put that in there. Well. Come on, child. Get the bread. Sorry, guys. Give me 1 second here. Vivian says, I take progress photos and even keep the drawings you make in Photoshop and the transfer drawings with the pencil marks. Yes, I have a whole drawer full of pretty much every project that I've done, whether it's painting or a wood burning, something like that. I keep the patterns. I keep all of them. Yes, we're having beer bread tonight with our soup. And It's the easiest bread you'll ever make. You just, flour, sugar, baking powder, salt, a can of beer, and then you stir it up and cook it for an hour. It's the easiest bread you'll ever find. I can make it in the time it takes to preheat the oven. And because you cook it, all the alcohol is gone, and it's perfectly safe for, kids and everybody. There's no alcohol left in it, but it has yeast, so it activates the bread. It works as the activator, and it just adds some really unique flavor. Okay, so we have a little bit of a shadow here. Well, I will try to call him.
Fred?
Yes, please.
Okay, I'll be out in a moment.
Thank you. Alrighty. Okay. Larry is saying you're well into the wild. Oh, into the wild burn. Cool. You're using the squiggly worm to do the trees. Awesome. You'd like to ask, how do you use that worm to show one tree behind another one? It's basically the same, but you're just going to alter how much, like how dark it is. That's the key from a tree in the foreground is generally going to be darker than one in the background. So make sure that the one in the foreground is dark enough. That's like a partial tree here. And then one in the background, you're just going to make it a little bit lighter, but still do the squiggle worm technique. So overlapping is a great way to show trees or any subject that is in front of the other one is overlapping, and then your value. So here's this tree. He's in front, and it's going to be a bit darker. And then the one in the background is going to be just a tad lighter. I hope that makes sense. Do I make the foreground tree darker? Yes, that's exactly what we do. Thank you.
Yep.
Did you find the butter?
Yeah.
Okay. And did you turn the oven off?
Yes.
Awesome, thank you. Oh, that's me trying to get a hold of you.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm trying to build up this value right in here and just push it a little bit darker. You're very welcome, Larry. Okay, perfect. Okay. So, yeah, like I was saying with skin values, a lot of times people do too little shading. You need to add a lot more shading, I think, than you think you do in order to build up the depths, because even though skin is generally a single color, whether you're dealing with a white person, black person, whatever, they generally have the same skin tone all over. But when you include lighting, it can drastically change the way the skin appears to be, whether it looks lighter or darker. So I think you really need to add more shading to skin than you think you do. And remember that wood burnings tend to fade a little bit over time. So if you darken the skin consistently a little bit more to begin with, then as it fades naturally, it'll achieve kind of a more of a balanced look. Hi, Helen. So I'm blending this crease, the dark crease, down onto the eyelid a little bit. Okay, and then I'm going to pull some of this darkness up. Because remember that eyelid is a rounded subject, so we want it to be darker at the top, darker at the bottom, and lighter in the middle. So just some nice soft shading in between here for that rounded look. Okay, so that's looking pretty cool. Don't be afraid to go darker. I really think that that's where the dynamic element, the dramatic element comes into play, is when you start pushing your values and going a little bit darker. So I'm going to do a little bit more here in the eye as well, make it a little richer, darker. And then we'll continue with some of our skin tone. Just pull that gradient in from the outside and kind of fade it out. It's like an airplane, but you're just taking off. It's that airplane motion, but you just start and then take off. So I'm starting near the edge and then taking off and lifting up as I get towards the center. And then you can repeat it from the other side and kind of pull the other way. Set down and then drag and lift. So can you guys see like the difference between this side of the eye and that side of the eye, where we just darkened it up a little bit, especially on the outer edges? This side of the eye just looks so much, I think, so much more alive and glassy and three-dimensional than this side. I mean, this side looked pretty good too, but by just tweaking our values and increasing them a little bit more, I think it really helps. And it looks like this part is more rounded than this part over here. This side looks a little bit flatter. You guys do see it. Okay, cool. Yeah. That's why I think it's so important once you get the wood burning mostly done, go back over it and tweak it and just make sure that your values are right where you want them to be. Push those darks a bit darker than you sometimes are comfortable with. And so we'll just keep that inner like ring. If you're looking at a donut, the top part of the donut is going to stay light, but we're just going to pull the darkness in from both sides here. Okay, that's looking pretty cool. All right, flip it. I think you guys can still see. And this is really almost abstract. Eyes are so different. So don't feel like you have to follow the reference photo exactly. You can get a little creative here, whether you want just more like straight spokes or if you want to add a little twisty spokes to the eyes. This one has, like the reference photo has a little bit of both. Just really have fun with it. Just make sure that your darks pull from the inside and the outside. And you can also see that my strokes are irregular. So as I'm coming, like, let's see, if this is the center of the eye, I'm going not just like this, or even from the bottom of the eye, it doesn't really matter. But you want to not have them all end at the same spot like that. Make sure that they, you know, there's some long ones, there's some short ones, long, short, and kind of mix up your little wagon spokes of the eye. You don't want them all consistent, if that makes sense. Make them a little bit more dynamic with varying lengths. Okay, that's looking better, guys. I like that. All right, let's come back over here. I'm gonna have to turn it upside down. Thanks, Lisa. You guys are talking about songs there. I'm not very good at remembering who played what. Like, I recognize songs, but I don't know. I can't tell who sang them. So I'm not completely following the reference photo right now, a little bit. I think my eye is a little misshapen, so I'm going to round it out here a little bit. We'll see. And if you struggle with transferring eyes on to where they look round, take like a toilet paper roll or a quarter or a dish plate, whatever size that you need to try to match that circle, and you can always kind of trace an object to get that round shape perfect. So yeah, I'm not really following the reference photo, but that's okay. It's a great place to start, and then you can always adjust it and modify it as you need. Let's darken up the top part where everything is in shadow. Oh, thanks guys. I think it's turning out pretty cool. And keep in mind that sometimes if the eye looks a little bit squished, my camera's at a little bit of an angle. So I'll hold it up and we'll take a look at it the way it should be here in just a bit. So that's definitely looking better. It's more glassy, I think. I have a little bit of, I don't know, a lot of highlight over here, but I think I'm going to leave it because I think our light is coming around. Larry says, doing this eyepiece would definitely be a refreshing change of pace. Yes, it is a lot of fun, very different. And whenever you deal with something super realistic like we've talked about before, try to turn your brain into thinking that you're doing something abstract. It'll take some of the pressure off and get your brain wrapped around, okay, this is a wagon wheel. These are spokes. Darker to the center, darker to the edge here. I think I'm going to add a little bit more shading up on the top part. Okay. And let's darken it a little bit under here. Okay. So you can start putting in some wrinkles or some skin texture. That's going to be a little bit of skip burning here and there. And one way that graphite artists get the most realistic highlights and you can see the pores in their skin is they use erasers to lift off the graphite after they have drawn in an area. That's going to be a little bit more difficult for us. You can burn around these areas. Otherwise, you would have to probably it's here. Use something pointy and sharp and try to lift out some of those highlights. I'm trying to look at our reference photo here as far as what highlights we could put in. I haven't burned a lot of those areas there, but maybe we can try this here in a bit. Just keep in mind that this will definitely damage the surface of the wood, but it is possible to scratch out and lift out some areas for extra highlights. So, but I don't think I have enough shadows in there quite yet. So let's keep shading. I don't think you can quite overdo it on shading. It's just so fun. It's one of my favorite things to do with wood burning. So I'm going to start not just do the smooth shading like I did here. I'm going to start breaking up my shading a little bit into more irregular fashion to get some of these wrinkles and more skin textured-y type stuff. And if you're not very comfortable with using the shading point for skip burning, definitely turn it down. Like I was telling the people that showed up earlier, I've moved my ring light and it's, I think, too close to my burner. So my wood burner is not burning as hot as it normally does. So I don't really need to turn it down right now because it's not as hot as I would like it. But this will help to kind of create that pore-like feel to the skin. But over here we're a little bit smoother. Okay. So you can see there's almost like little commas or sideways apostrophes in here, like little ringlets that you can try to burn in. And then some lateral lines as well. Okay, so that's getting a little bit more skin texture in there. Okay. So we're going to go back up here and kind of darken this edge. A little bit more. It's going to get lighter as it comes towards the center of the eye. And we're just going to touch up some of our values as we go. A little bit darker, set, drag, lift. It's that airplane taking off again. And just a nice light shading over the white of the eye. And we'll touch it up here on the edge as well. And nice light shading across the eye. Okay. Alrighty, we're getting there. And some more shading on this edge underneath the lower lashes. So it's pretty smooth. Oh, you can't see that. Hang on, let me move me. Nope, not that. Okay. Kitty. Hi, puppy. So it's definitely softer and smooth shading in here, and then we get into a little bit more skin texture down below. Hi, kitty, kitty. How are you? Pretty kitty. Hi there. Lisa says this is a good spot for the wood grain to help with the picture. Absolutely. Yeah, give it a little bit more texture in some of these little areas here. Hi, kitty. I know, I moved everything, huh? Where's your normal bed? Okay, so we have some little tidbits of highlights in where the eyelashes meet that lower lid. So you can just kind of bring up a little shading in between there, here and there. Leave some of those spaces open. Now we have some wrinkledy things down under here. Good night, Larry. And just jumping around, trying to leave some of these areas for highlights. We have a lower shadow here. I pet the cat one time and now I have hair everywhere on my project. Okay, so we're starting to develop a little bit more of the structure underneath the eye. Okay, let's see here. Okay. That should keep it from getting too blown out. Alrighty. So I'm just extending some of our skin tone outward because even though the skin is light, it's not quite as light as our unburned wood. So just adding a touch of shading on skin as a general rule is definitely helpful. And some more skip burning in this area. Hi, Estella. Okay, so this has a little bit more of a harder edge, soft edge, a softer hard edge. Not the best explanation there, but it's a little bit more defined line. And then we just add some skip burning where we burn and then lift and then burn and then lift, and we don't have a very consistent edge to it. And I'm going to blend this where we have a little bit of shadow of the upper lashes are going to come down and shade this part here a little bit. And whenever you burn skin texture like this, definitely keep everything more on the lighter side. If you try to put in some of these creases with a really dark edge, and you decide later that you don't like it or you made a mistake, it's going to be pretty hard to correct that. So I'm making these lines a little bit more defined under the, like the wrinkly part underneath the eye, but not gouging. I'm not burning heavily into the wood. So let's take a look here. Okay, so we're starting to develop a bit more of the wrinkled eye skin texture in there. Okay, I'll work a little bit more here around the inner part of the eye. It's all fairly light. Okay, guys. So what else do you want to see here? I think we're getting pretty close on this impromptu live stream. I might just kind of tweak things a little bit more, but generally that's we have some pretty good texture down here, like under the eyes. We have some skip burning to create texture on the eyelid. I'll probably darken up some of these lashes on the lower side a little bit more. But just taking a little time to go back over and darken up your darks, enrich your midtones, and then smooth everything out is a great use of your time. And here's it a little bit less wonky. And there's always something to do. There's always more that you can add. So I'm going to kind of go back over these lower lashes and darken them up just a tad. So some of the ones here closer to the inner eye, they have a little bit of a hook to them. Okay, so we redefined the lower lashes. I don't know, guys. I think I'm pretty much there, unless there's something specific more that you want to see with this project. You know, if you want to shade around the rest of the project and take a light skin tone all the way out, that would be very fine. That'd be consistent with the reference photo. But I think that this is pretty darn close, and I think I'm going to call this one done for right now. All right, so thanks everybody for being here. If you have any questions, go ahead and just throw them in the chat, and we'll see what we can do as far as addressing those even tomorrow night, because our normal live stream will be tomorrow, same time. Thank you, Cap Sahari, or Cap Sarah, hi. Glad that you can be here, and hopefully this was helpful for everybody. All right, thanks guys. I will see you tomorrow. Good night.